Hey guys, it's Ricardo here with Gathering Magic, and I'm here to bust open a box of Journey into Nyx. We've been waiting, a long time for this last set to come out, and we're really excited to be busting this pack for you guys. So let's see what we get. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of skim through the commons, and we're going to go ahead and go over the uncommons very briefly, and then go over the rares. And by go over, I mean more or less, hey, this is what this card does, and if it's a rather interesting card or a card that I deem, maybe worth a little bit more time for a review, then we'll go ahead and take a look. So let's go ahead and see what we get here in our first pack. All right, I get this guy. Uncommon. Nessian Game Warden. He enters the battlefield, look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of forests you control. You may reveal a creature card from among them and put it into your hand, and put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Definitely a pretty good limited card. 3 and double green, and he's a 4/5. It's pretty good. Colossal Heroics. It's a 2 and a green, Strive, and any number of target creature get 2/2 until the end of turn, untap them. Very good combat trick. Storm Chaser Chimera, 2/3 flyer. Pretty much you scry, and then whatever's on top, he gets XO until the end of turn. And Polymorphous Rush, costs 2 and a blue, instant, Strive, and choose a creature on the battlefield. Any number of target creatures you control become a copy of that creature until the end of turn. Could be really crazy, especially if your opponent, if you're playing some kind of token deck and your opponent has Boros Reckoners, you just kind of go to town on them. So I'm going to set the rare off to the side. We'll go over those later. Just kind of a debrief. Let's go ahead and check out this next pack. I can't tell you how many packs I would love to crack this weekend. Hopefully I get a God pack. All right, so we got this. Eagle of Watch. Hey, this guy has Vigilance, doesn't he, guys? Any of you that saw my pre-release know that he has Vigilance. And we have Golden Hide Ox, 5/4 Constellation, 5 and a green. Mixes so target creature pretty much gives a Taunting Elf to creatures. Ritual of the Returned. Exile target creature card from a graveyard or from your graveyard and put a zombie creature token onto the battlefield. Its power and toughness is equal to that creature's. Strength of the Fallen. Constellation gets XX, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard. Not bad. Dictator of the Twin Gods. It's a Furnace of Wrath with Flash. And a foil Underworld Coinsmith. Definitely not bad. This guy has won me many a game so far in the limited pre-releases that we've had. What I've noticed is the randomness on these packs. Sometimes they're just really hard to open for seemingly no reason. Alright, Spiteful Blow. Good. It's questionable removal for limited. I wouldn't. We'll go over that later. Storm Chaser Chimera. Battlefield Thaumaturge. I must have skipped over it uncommon. Oh well. Each instant or sorcery you cast costs 1 less to cast for each creature it targets, and it gains hexproof until the end of the turn when you target it with a spell. Countermand. This card actually blew me out in the pre-releases. Actually, quite sad. I'm not very fond of the card anymore. Let me set you over there. Disciple of Deceit. Cyclops of Eternal Fury. Swarmborn Giant. Hey, Mana Confluence. I need a couple more of these. And by couple, I mean like 100. This card's really good. It's a functional reprint of City of Brass, but very rarely City of Brass was able to kind of mess you up, because Mana Confluence says you could tap and pay 1 life and add 1 to your mana pool, where City of Brass is whenever it's tapped for mana, you take 1 damage. So your opponent was able to somehow pull some shenanigans to tap it for you. Then you lose life that way. So Mana Confluence kind of gets around that very oddball scenario. Let's see here. All right, Skink font. This guy's sweet. All right, Whitewater Naiads, Basara Tower Archer, Spire Spine, Aegis of the Gods. This guy's pretty sweet. He's a True Believer. That's an enchantment. That's a 2/1. That only costs 1 white instead of double white. It's 1 and a white, 2/1, hexproof. Pretty good. Hopefully y'all had a good weekend of pre-releasing. I did a lot more than I had my wallet for, but that never stops me from playing some fun Magic. Double font. This font I'm actually pretty fond of. It's a Dispeller's Capsule, effectively. It's a functional reprint of that card. I like it. I expect to see some play in Standard. Magma Spray, very good card. Cura's Dismissal. Armory of Iroas. Nyx Weaver, Cetessan Tactics. Hey, a foil Font of Fortune. So I'm going to see if I can keep this. I love me the foil cards, especially the foil cards that I like to play. Typically right now, though, if you ask anybody in my local card shop, I'm always playing the red-white decks. So I always like burning people's faces off. Yeah, it's not a lot of player interaction, but sometimes you don't want to say a lot to your opponent. They're trying to kick you out of your tournament. Armory of Iroas. Eidolon of I'm going to destroy Storm decks because I'm Rule of Law on a 1/4. Thassa's Ire. Hero's Bane. This guy's pretty good for the green pre-release promo. He's pretty insane. Enters the battlefield with 4 +1/+1 counters on it. 2 in double green. Activate his ability to put X/1/1 counters on him where X is his power. So he just continuously doubles in power. If he's not answered immediately and limited, he can get kind of out of control really fast. Only drawback to him is he doesn't have trample. But that's an easy fix. After all, we do have the archetype of aggression. Then, 1 and double red, and then, 2 double green and 3. Could be a little tricky to get going. Reprisal. This card's pretty good and limited. 1 and a white, destroy target creature with a power 4 or greater, can't be regenerated. It's very, very good when it comes to cards like, Hero's Bane, or, if your opponent opens a Pelacrinus or whatever. It's pretty good. Revel of the Fallen God. Womp, womp, womp. Put 4 2/2 red-green Satyr creature tokens with haste onto the battlefield. For 7 mana, you can do 8 damage at sorcery speed prior to combat. Yeah. Oh, man. I wish red and green had great sorceries. Fortunately, I don't remember or can't think of any right off the top of my head that are exceptional. But that's why they have big creatures. Golden Hide Ox. Another Reprisal. Strength of the Fallen. In a... I'm only going to say it because I know it's going to upset some people. Decide. I heard a lot of people saying Decide. It's actually Deicide. And the art for this is really cool. If you get a good look, it's Elspeth vanquishing Xenagos. If you've seen a foil one of these, it's really good. And flavor text is really flavorful. It's an instant that costs 1 and a white, exile target enchantment, and if the exiled card is a god card, search its controller's graveyard, hand, and library for any number of cards with the same name as that card, and then exile them, and the player shuffles his or her library. Very good against gods, and as far as spot removal for enchantments, it's not that bad either. I wonder. Boom. In case y'all have never seen that before. Just a spoiler for the upcoming draft set that they're making called Conspiracy. It's going to be a lot of fun. Me and a couple of coworkers are always talking about, like, what would you do if, you pulled the guy that you're able to switch in and out of packs. Seems like a massive blowout if you get in pack 1 and then pack 2, your first and second pick are from the same pack. So, Colossal Heroics, Swarmborn Giant, Vanishing Light, super awesome card. A functional reprint of Oblivion Ring. I really like it. And... this card I really like. I'm planning on building some kind of EDH deck around him, I'm unsure. It's probably going to be just a one-on-one deck. He costs 2 and double black as a 2/3 that has Inspire. So whenever King Makar, the Gold Curse, becomes untapped, you may exile target creature. It doesn't have to be one you control. It could be one an opponent controls. If you do, put a colorless artifact token named Gold onto the battlefield. It's important to note that that comes in the battlefield under your control. It doesn't replace the creatures. Like if I exiled my opponent's creature, they're not going to get the gold token. I am. The gold token is sacrifice this artifact, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. And a foil, Silence the Believers. This card's pretty sweet because it just says that creature, regardless of whatever it has on it, is gone. Doesn't matter. Unless, it's an equipment or whatever. Very good for limited. For standard, I expected to see some play in sideboards, but not a lot. Pretty sweet card. Set both of my foil. Boop, boop, boop. No gods yet. So that means there's got to be either foil one in here somewhere or a regular one somewhere. Hopefully in a box, we'll see one. Crystalline Nautilus. I actually blew somebody out that was playing this card. Good old bestow mechanic is too good. Riddle of Lightning, Nyx Weaver, Dictate of Crewfix. Flash at the beginning of each player's draw step. That player draws an additional card. Costs 1 and double blue. And we have a Riptide Chimera as the foil. Cyclops back. Cloak Siren to start off with. Another Nautilus. Mogus's Warhound, Leonin Iconoclast, Daring Thief. 2 and a blue, Inspire. When he becomes untapped, you may exchange control of target non-land permanent you control with a target permanent an opponent controls that shares a card type with it. Lands, creatures, artifacts, equipments, enchantments, etc. And Return Reveler. We're getting kind of lucky on getting foils, just not the right ones. Can't really argue that we already got a rare foil, so that's pretty good. Come on. Mythic stuff. Let's see mythic stuff. Alright, and we have a Spiteful Blow. We have a Spine, another Banishing Light, and another Silence the Believers. Not bad. It's a pretty sweet box so far. By sweet, I mean I cannot wait to open the rest of this box. Pyrrhica's Chosen. Love that card. Another Eagle Watch. Remaining Vigilant. Sky Spear Cavalry. Not bad. 2/2 double strong flyer. Cow. Crystalline Nautilus again. Eidolon of the Rhetoric and Extinguish All Hopes. This card I have mixed feelings about. Costs 4 and double black. It's a sorcery. Destroy all non-enchantment creatures. Right now, I don't see a lot of enchantment creatures seeing play in standard, at least. In the other formats, this is definitely too slow to run, especially when you got cards like Damnation, Wrath of God, Supreme Verdict. But once Supreme Verdict cycles out of standard, I wonder if this is going to replace it. But a lot of the creatures that are in Theros block are also enchantments, especially with the last 2 sets of the block. So who knows? You know, maybe this will see play. Maybe not. I'm gonna have to keep you know, an eye on the Pro Tour when it comes around for block. We'll see a lot of results from that. I actually know one of the competitors, and I plan on being there myself. Me and Mr. Cannonmead. He gave me his guest pass. He was so kind. So I get to go there and kind of critique him as he plays. Hopefully give him a little bit of support. We got an Hour of Need, a Quarry Colossus, Agent of Erebos, and my favorite god, Iroas. Anybody that knows me or has been to a card shop where I'm at, I'm typically always playing red-white, and there's no better title for my god than the God of Victory. All right, so he's a 7/4 with Indestructible, naturally, and your devotion to red-white has to be 7 or greater, so you can be a creature. He states, creatures you control can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures, and you prevent all damage that would be dealt to attacking creatures you control. This guy's really sweet because he gives your guys a little bit of evasion. So let's say you're playing, you know, a red-white devotion deck like I do. You know, I've been waiting for a guy like this to come around because my Burning Tree emissaries, when they come out, they don't really do anything because every time I swing with them, they're probably going to die. Well, you know, my opponent's now going to have to block him at least with 2 creatures, and even then he's not going to die. So very, very useful card in certain decks. I expect him to see a lot of play in standard. So let's see here. I just want one of these packs to be a god pack. You guys would love that. Let's see. We have a Sightless Brawler, Underworld Coinsmith, Knowledge and Power, and a Dictate of Karametra. Alright, we have here Pyrrhica's Chosen. Font. This guy's sweet. This guy's also sweet. This guy's also sweet. Triton Cavalry. Launch the Fleet. Oh my god, this card is so good. This card can win you a game in limited, and your opponent will never know. Like, once you cast this card, it's like you can tap all your lands, and you're just like, your opponent will read it as like 1 plains and, you know, other things, and they'll try to figure out exactly what you're casting. And then when you show them this card, it's just like, if you tapped more than 4 lands, your opponent's very unhappy. So it's a very good card. It states, for 1 white, it has Strive for 1 colorless, and until the end of turn, any number of target creatures gain Whenever this creature attacks, put a 1/1 white soldier creature token onto the battlefield, tapped and attacking. So this can be the last couple points of damage. It just gives your opponent, they have to make more blocks, or if they don't make blocks at all, then it's pretty much game over for them. Another very good card with Iroas, but I'm not sure how much standard play we're going to see with that card. All right. For any of you interested in any kind of events or anything that's going on in the Orlando area, Cool Stuff Games has a $500 F&M tonight. Might be able to see this video before that and kind of make some plans around it. Dakra Mystic, Nessian Game Warden, Solidarity of Heroes, Hall of Triumph. I really like this card. It states, 3 colorless. It's a legendary artifact, so you can only have 1. Hopefully, you never see somebody play 2, because first, you're going to see them cry, and second, you're going to laugh. So, when it enters the battlefield, choose a color, and then creatures of the chosen color get +1/+1. I really like this card for mono blue, and the reason for that is you play Master Waves, something bad happens to Master Waves, your elementals die. Well, you play this, your elementals are there to stay. They're there for the long haul, so they're going to have to get rid of your Master Waves and this card. On top of that, makes your Cloudfin Raptors, pretty much everything in your deck, because they're all blue, a little stronger. So I really like this card. I'm going to be slightly more terrified, a little more apprehensive when I'm playing against, the mono blue lists. All right, Market Festival of Pack Opening, Dakra Mystic, Desperate Stand, Pull from the Deep, Hypnotic Siren. There's been a lot of debate with this card. I've heard some people saying they might replace their Judge's Familiars with it in their mono blue decks. For one blue, it's a 1/1 flyer, similar to that of Judge's Familiar, but you can bestow this for 7 mana and gain control of the creature, and then give it on top of that 1/1 and flying. So if you decide that you want to play this in your mono blue list, you're probably going to be running some Nykthoses as well, so so that way you can run it out a little faster. Not a bad card in my opinion. I still like Judge's Familiar a little more, but who knows? There's a lot of different opinions on this card. Alrighty. Nyx Infusion. God Hunter Octopus. He slaps gods 8 times. That's sweet. Love the flavor. Squelching Leeches. It's a functional reprint of Nightmare, but a leech instead. Wildfire Cerberus. A Chrome Line Breaker. And a 3rd Silence the Believers. This is pretty insane. Apparently, if we were new to this game, we would be playing black, without a doubt. We even got Hall of Triumphs, so all those little weenies that we get in black, all the little Firicus Chosens, they'd be pretty insane. All right, Lightning Diadem. Let's see here. We have a Interpret the Signs to start off our uncommons. Phalanx Formation. Nyx Fleece Ram. I'm going to hide that card. Nyx Fleece Ram. 0/5 for 1 and a white. At the beginning of your upkeep, you gain 1 life. I really like this card. I expect to see play in Standard. It's going to be in a lot of sideboards for the burn decks. Just gaining, even a couple life can give you pretty much a free turn against mono red. The formula that I've always used is if I'm able to gain at least 7 life against a burn deck, and I'm fighting them with some kind of competency, or I'm putting up some kind of struggle, that should typically be more than enough to win me the game, assuming they, shy of, just super awesome draws or, whatever. We have a Firika, God of Affliction. This card I'm not too fond of. It was a pretty big letdown for me. I was really excited for black-green. A lot of my friends wanted to play black-green, and then they saw the God, they're like, eh. Still, though, it's a 5/5 for 1, a black and a green. It's indestructible. If your black and green devotion is 7 or greater, it's a creature. Otherwise, it is not. For a black and a green, you exile a target creature card from a graveyard. Its owner, the card you exile, puts a 1/1 black-green snake enchantment creature token with Death Touch onto the battlefield. So if you exile your opponent's stuff, they get a dude. If you exile your own stuff, you get a dude. The dude has Death Touch, and it's an enchantment. So it's not that bad. I mean, a 5/5 for 3 is always really good, but the thing is, it's not a 5/5 unless, your devotion's 7, and on turn 3, that's pretty hard, almost impossible to accomplish. So, still, God's a god. Gotta worship. Gotta show it some love. Let's see here. All right. Johnny's presence. If you stand near Johnny, you become indestructible. That's pretty insane. Wildfire Cerberus, Agent of Erebos, Blinding Flare, Eidolon Blossoms, a 2/2 for 2 in double green. Constellation, whenever it or another enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, you may draw a card. Oh no, you just draw a card, not you may. Very useful card. Definitely going to be a blocker. It being only a 2/2 for 4 is kind of, you know, lackluster, but what are you going to do? At least it replaces itself. I would have been a lot happier if it costed, you know, 1 in a green like a Wall of Blossoms, but with that Constellation mechanic, it's got to be a little more hefty on the price. Oakheart Dryad, piece, a functional reprint of Master Decoy for you older players. Let's see, Consigned to Dust, Chariot of Victory. I would be surprised if this card did not see play. Granted, it's pretty hefty on the cost, but the creature gains first strike, trample, and haste. You effectively turn your creatures into a demigod. It's pretty awesome. I really like the card. Pull from the Deep and Dictate of Erebos. Flash, and it is a Grave Pact? Yeah, it's a Grave Pact. So flash, 3 double black. Whenever a creature you control dies, and each opponent sacrifices a creature. So just a Grave Pact. Still, it's a Grave Pact, so it's not too bad. It's one of those cards that you kind of gotta be careful. Like, if you see that on the board, you're just like, oh crap, I can't kill any of these guys, or I have to say bye-bye to my dudes. And the cool thing about sacking is it gets around the indestructible factor. So if they have a god and you somehow can trick them into sacrificing it, or they have enchantments and that's the only actual creature they have, it'd be pretty stellar. All right, Ritual of the Returned, Sky Spear Cavalry, a Fellhide Petrifier, Masterpiece. I really like this guy because you play him in some kind of like blue-black deck and you go, all right, at the end of your turn, goes to my turn. Trigger on the stack, Notion Thief, take your opponent's draw. Like, it's a silly thing to talk about, but it's still a possibility. Like, there's probably going to be somebody playing this tonight. Where they're going to go Master Feast on turn 3, and on the turn 4, responding to the trigger, they're going to play a Notion Thief and kind of giggle at their opponent. Granted, the Notion Thief's probably going to die immediately, but you never know. I would not be surprised. Alright, let's take a look here. Fleet Feather Cockatrice, Spidemogus, Riptide Chimera. Yeah, this guy. I really like this guy, not only for EDH, but I am really hoping somebody finds some cool deck to play him in Standard. He costs 3, a red and a blue. He's indestructible. Devotion has to be 7 or greater for him to be a creature in blue and red. If it's less than, he's not a creature. At the when you reveal the first card you draw on each of your turns, you check to see if it's a land card. If it is, you draw it. If it's not a land, then you deal 3 damage to target creature or player. So at the start of every one of your turns, check your draw card. If land, sweet. If it's not a land, even better. You get a lightning bolt for free. So, and the fact that this guy's a 6/5, like, he comes crashing in pretty hard when he becomes a creature. So he's pretty sweet. I really like this guy. These snake tokens are pretty sweet. One thing I started to notice is if you look at all the cards, that are enchantment creatures or what have you, the starry background and everything. I wonder if they're going to do that for every enchantment, or if that's only because they're creatures blessed by the gods, or enchantments blessed by the gods to be, creatures. That'd be pretty neat. Tormented Thoughts, Chariot of Victory, Forgeborn Oreads, and Bearer of the Heavens, a 7 and a red 10/10 giant that when he dies, he destroys all not him, but when he dies, destroy all permanents at the beginning of the next end step. He's a World Slayer on a 10/10. That's probably the best way to put it. And hey, we got some gold. Yeah. You pack war with that guy, you should win almost immediately. Alright. Mogus's Warhound, Triton Cavalry, Goldforge Sentinel, and another Extinguish All Hopes. I'm telling you, they really want us to play black, like, for sure. A black deck would be pretty insane. Johnny's Vengeance. Or Johnny's Presence, rather. Johnny Vengeance, that'd be neat. It'd be crazy if I correct that in one of these packs. Hour of Need, Thought Render Lamia, a Crowan Linebreaker, and for our rare, we have a Dragon from the set, a flying 5/5. When he enters the battlefield, it deals damage to target creature or player equal to the number of mountains you control for 5 and double red. Pretty pricey if you're playing. I mean, if you cast them with 7 mountains, you're probably going to win the game. You know, not a terrible card, but I wouldn't be surprised if it never saw play in Standard. Especially with Devotion being a thing, and you know, people playing with Nykthos, you're never going to have 7 mountains when you cast that guy. Grim Guardian. This guy's awesome. Constellation 1/4. Great blocker for limited. Great offensive guy as well. You know, if you're able to somehow draw enough enchantments out of, you know, your pools, and seal anyway. You know, limited, it's going to be a lot harder to build a deck around Constellation because you're only going to have 1 pack from, you know, Journey into Nyx. It's a very good card, even, you know, either way. So yeah, Whitewater Naiads. Nightmarish End, which is it's a pretty sick art. Has Ashiok on it, and she's just destroyed somebody. Solidarity of Heroes, and another Dictated Crewfix. We're seeing a lot of doubles, so it's not too bad, but it's at the same time, it's not very exciting. All right, dwindling low on the packs. Alrighty, Lacana Band Trailblazer. Riddle of Lightning, Thought Render Lamia, a Fellhide Petrifier, and a Twin Flame. It costs 1 and a red, and it clones a creature that you control, and it's only for that turn. It effectively, I'll read what it says. It says, you know, it's 1 and a red, sorcery, Strive. It costs 2 and a red for each more target, and you choose any number of target creatures. For each of them, put a token that's a copy of that creature onto the battlefield. They gain haste, and you exile them at the beginning of the next end step. Pretty sweet card for limited. It can be quite the big blowout. You know, if you already have some big fatties on the board, you can save this to the late game, and you just kind of just destroy somebody, or even early game. You know, you get enough creatures with heroic, and if you're able to, like, you know, attack and target them all with Glimpse of the God or whatever, you know, it's pretty sweet. We got 6 packs left past this one. And we've got a Rollick of Abandon, Sky Spear Cavalry, Riptide Chimera. Oh, this is my favorite card, and I'll tell you why. Now, if you look at cards like Mindslaver or Sorin, they say you control target player's next turn. This says you control target player during that player's next turn. So I'm sure a lot of people are still going to treat it like Mindslaver or Sorin, but if I ever cast this card on my opponent, I'm going to make them do what I want them to do for their turn. They're probably not going to fly with it, but, you know, I'm just reading the card. That's going to be pretty sweet. Opponent, get me a glass of water. Opponent, proceed to concede phase. Can't do that, but, you know, could you imagine? For 8 mana, target player loses the game. Not bad. Grim Guardian, yet again. He always likes to be the front lines. What a guy. Tormented Thoughts, Reviving Melody, Gnarled Scarhide, and a Skybind. It's a 3 and double white Constellation. When it or another enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, exile target non-enchantment permanent. Return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. Return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. It's not a bad card. I mean, you got to be playing a pretty heavy enchantment-based deck for this to be really, you know, effective. And the reason I say that is because it's only going to work if you're playing enchantments. Otherwise, it doesn't do anything. So, I mean, I can imagine some guys. Could you imagine going to FNM, some guy dropping this and then just going, I'm going to go ahead and Detention Sphere that, attack. I'm going to go ahead and banishing like that. You know, it can get kind of nuts, I guess. Not very fond of it, but, you know, whatever. Supply Line Cranes, foil, yeah. Minotaur token. Good old Minotaurs. Probably don't sound like that, but, you know, whatever. Another Vigilance guy. Quarry Colossus. Disciple of Deceit. Brain. Oh, man. In the pre-release, there were some times where I just have, you know, just the insane cards in my hand, and my opponent would just brain maggot me, and I wouldn't have a way of dealing with it, and they'd, of course, never block with it, and it was a total nightmare. This guy's pretty good. You know, 1 and a black, an enchantment creature, 1/1. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent reveals his or her hand. You choose a non-land card from it, and you exile that card until Brain Maggot leaves the battlefield. It being black, it might be good against mono black decks, or even control decks, seeing as they have to waste 1 really good card on it. You can kind of steal like a counter spell or something. It's a pretty neat card. I wouldn't be surprised if it saw some standard play. Dawnbringer Charioteers, best card, in my opinion, in the current limited format. There's not a lot of things that kill it. It's a flying lifelinker that has heroic. Whenever you cast a spell that targets it, it gets a 1/1 counter. It's a 2/4 for 2 and double white. It's, when you look at the current limited format, he is actually the hardest thing, in my opinion, to kill. Granted, I haven't, looked over absolutely every card, but from what I've realized every time I've laid this guy down, it's very hard for them to bring him down. All right. Come on, excitement. Something sweet. Humbler of Mortals. Another Eagle of the Watch. You guys gave me so much for that. All right. Thesmos High Priest, a Underworld Coinsmith, Cyclops of Eternal Fury, and a Ferrispan Warchief. Womp womp womp. The Ferrispan Warchief is a 3/3 Vigilance for 3 and a green. He has Trample as well, and he gives other Centaur creatures you control 1/1, and they gain Vigilance and Trample as well. So it's not very bad if you're playing a Centaur-based deck, but prior to this card, can you name 10 off the top of your head that were pretty impactful for the format? I can't. Rotted Hulk. Spider Mogus. Kura's Dismissal. Blinding Flare. Hey, another Mana Confluence. Like I said, we were getting a lot of doubles. This is just the functional reprint of City of Brass for those of you that didn't remember. It's a pretty sweet card. Definitely need a little bit more. All right, guys, last pack. If I see, from what I've heard, is in the God pack, the first card you see is Iroas. You've gotten lucky, so. Crap, not a God pack. All right, Market Festival. Come on, at least double rare or something neat. Squelching Leeches, Thassa's Ire, Gnarled Scar, Dictated Chimera. All right, yeah, we got like a million doubles in this box. It's really peculiar. All right, so this says, double green flash. I'm sorry, double green and 3 flash. Whenever a player taps a land for mana, that player adds 1 mana of his or her. Adds 1 mana to his or her mana pool of any type that land can produce. So, if it's a forest, it adds double green. If it's an island, it adds double blue. If it's a Mana Confluence, if you tap a Mana Confluence, you add 2 mana of whatever color you'd like. It doesn't have to be the same color either. You could add red and blue, blue-green, red and white, whatever. So, in conjunction, they're pretty cool cards. So let's go ahead and quickly take a look, an overview of what I've got here. We have Mana Confluence, Dictative Karametra, Ferrispan Warchief, Dawnbringer Charioteers, a Skybind, a Worst Fears, Twin Flame, Dictative Crufix, Spawn of Thryraxes, Extinguish All Hopes, Bearer of the Heavens, Karanos, Master of Feasts, Dictative Erebos, Eidolon of Blossoms, Pyrrhica, God of Affliction, Silence the Believers, Hypnotic Siren, Hall of Triumph, Launch the Fleet, another Dictative Karametra, Iroas, my favorite, Extinguish All Hope, Silence the Believers, Daring Thief, Dictative Crufix, another Silence the Believers, King Makar, Deicide, Revel of the Fallen Gods, Hero's Bane, Setessan Tactics, Aegis of the Gods, another Mana Confluence, Battlefield Thaumaturge, Dictate of the Twin Gods, and a Polymorphous Rush. All in all, wasn't a bad box. We could have, hopefully, the next box we crack here will be a little more valuable, but, we have Iroas, we have Pyrrhica, we got Karanos, right there, that's you know, 10, 20, 30, if you're just valuing them at, you know, 10 apiece. I'm pretty sure Chronos is a little higher, but, you know, that's 30 right there. The double mana Confluence, if they're, you know, still hovering around 20 apiece, that's another 40. So that's $70 right there. And then, you know, you could easily, you know, kind of guesstimate that the rest would be around the 20 or so that you would have to pay for a box. So definitely not bad. Definitely, you know, I'm sated with this box. You know, opening boxes is one of my favorite pastimes. I'm sure for all of you other Magic players out there, you know, you all love busting the packs. So, you know, hopefully you guys cracked a little better than I did. Hopefully, you know, you maybe got a God pack of your own. The God pack, you know, for those that don't know, is you're going to get you know, one of each God. There's 15 in total, 15 cards in a pack. And sometimes you even get a token. So, you know, sometimes you get that 16th card. So, you can't get a foil one. And their estimated value right now is, I think, around like $200. So, definitely a sweet thing to open up. Hopefully, you know, at least one of you get it. Hopefully, you guys have a lot of fun cracking packs from here on out, and hopefully, you guys are, you know, getting a little luckier than I did some of the times in Limited. So, you know, this is from Ricardo from Gathering Magic. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully, you know, we see you all come through the store, or hopefully, you know, you all see me at an event, or you know, what have you. Take care.